what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
This podcast is sponsored by the 2019 Foot Candle Film Festival. This year's festival will be held September 27th through the 29th in Hickory, North Carolina. Learn more by visiting footcandlefilmfestival.com.
Welcome to Street Circle Drive, your Hickory-centric podcast here on The Mesh. Thanks for joining us this final day of May. The temperatures have
Feels
been
like August.
yes, but thank goodness we are in for some cooler weather. And by the time you are hearing this, hopefully you will have already enjoyed that cooler weather.
That's right.
Gotten out and done a little something. I'm Mary Margaret, and as always, I'm here with Moose.
Hey.
And McNally.
Hello.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Better than last time we spoke.
This is true. Boy,
Yeah.
have
It doesn't even look like anything happened.
It doesn't. It doesn't look like it.
I have heard some comments from this show.
Right.
From that episode, which has been widely talked about. For those of you that were not involved in that episode or know, we did an experience episode. We were very excited about it. We were going out to do something in the community and then eat at a place that none of us had ever been before. It was a big deal.
Big deal.
And then Moose had to go and slice his lip open.
Yeah, I did. That's what I did.
During our experience at
Yep.
the axe throwing place.
Who would have ever thought that somebody could get hurt at an axe throwing place?
Well, you were the first
You
one.
were the first one, so clearly
That is. I
nobody
was.
thought that.
Yep. And probably will be the only one for a while.
But
Probably
Moose,
hold
I-
that title for a little
I
while.
will give you some credit because you sliced your lip open.
True.
We, in our years of medical school for Mary Margaret and I, we said,
Clearly.
you're fine, don't worry about it. So then the bleeding stopped. Then
Pretty
you went,
quickly, nonetheless.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Then we went to have lunch.
Yeah.
Then we came and did the podcast, and I guess your better nature
Better sense
told
of
you
prevail.
to maybe I should check this out.
Yeah.
And you ended up getting
I got 5 stitches and a tetanus
a
shot.
tetanus shot. So
Well, thank goodness
I will
for
give
that.
you credit for doing all those things and then getting it checked out. Because when we talked about this last time, there was no stitches or anything. We were just like, tough it up. You'll be all right.
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. You'll be all right.
Just quit
Rub
talking for a little bit.
some dirt on it. Just
give
keep
you-
going.
I'll
Quit
give you a
talking
little
for
bit
a
of
little
credit.
while.
Thanks.
Yeah.
First, write that down. First
Yeah.
time.
You did
we
say
gotta
they
get-
even
Right.
mentioned, do you need plastic surgery?
Yeah, we ixnayed that real quick. I was like, I'll be okay. This is
No, the lip
Clearly,
looks fine. You
yeah.
need it everywhere else, but the lip looks fine.
Clearly, you did not need plastic surgery.
No, I
in your lip.
didn't.
Yes.
No.
I'm so glad that you're okay. However, I so enjoyed the conversation that came out of it.
Oh, for sure. It was one of our better podcasts for sure.
Absolutely. My parents called me and were like, we have just been laughing at that episode. And,
We've been laughing at Moose so hard.
well, I mean,
Love
they
you,
didn't,
Tony
they,
and
didn't,
Maggie.
they didn't come right out and say that, but
Yeah.
I can read between the lines.
Here's guessing that's not the first time.
No, they've known me for a while. They've seen me at LR tailgates. They've seen me
laughed
act
at
a fool.
a bunch.
They've known Moose long enough to be okay with it, and Moose knows them well enough too. I
Very
think.
much
But,
so.
But no, we are glad that Moose is okay. If you are looking for a good laugh, you definitely should go and listen to the episode, and hear what all we did for that day. First of all, it was a great day.
time.
I thought.
I had a blast.
Thought it was a really cool day of stuff we did, all up until that bloody.
Yeah.
Well,
lip
you and I
part,
still
but-
laughed. I mean, we're not
We
to take
did.
away
We
from that. It
did.
was,
We did. There was no denying that. Mainly because of Moose's reactions.
Yes.
I mean, it
I was like, golly gee, I just got hurt.
Yeah, you toughed
Yeah.
it up pretty good.
Yeah, thanks.
It was really confusing. I mean, I guess we were all kind of really dumbfounded of how you actually pulled it off. I mean, it's not like you were licking the axes to
No.
be tough.
No.
You got it caught on the back of your shirt
Yeah, no.
and then sliced your lip open.
It could have been worse. It could have been so much worse. My mom brought this to my attention. She's like, "Oh, you could have lost an ear. You could have hit your jugular. You could have put an eye out. You could have knocked your teeth out." I mean, there's a laundry list there.
Moms.
I mean,
Moms.
yeah, I kind of was just hoping that you would have shaved off your beard.
That would have
just
been
like
great.
one
That would have been
side.
classic. Just one.
Just the whole
one
half
side.
of my beard just completely shaved off. That would have been funny.
That could have made for some good photos.
That's right.
Well, today is definitely not going to be as dangerous as last week's was.
I hope not.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we haven't started the conversation yet, But as far as I can tell, it's going to be a pretty calm and cool episode. But I'm going to let Moose introduce our special guest today.
Thank you for that great introduction, Mary Margaret. I appreciate it so much.
You are welcome.
Street Circle Drive listeners, we're happy to have today Miss Kathy Greathouse. She is the executive director of United Arts Council of Catawba Valley, or Catawba County. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're so glad. Kathy's been friends of the Mesh for a while and Jackson Creative for a while, and we just appreciate you coming. And
Well, I'm happy to.
right. Oh, well, can you tell us just a little bit about the background of the United Arts Council?
Sure. The United Arts Council is actually an umbrella organization for 56 nonprofit arts, science, and history groups in Catawba County. And you got to let that sink in. 56.
That's a bunch.
Nonprofit arts, science, and history. That is a bunch.
Can you name them all?
No. I
Go ahead.
In alphabeutical order.
Yeah, right. You're right. I wish
holding a
I
match.
could.
Right.
And I should
Like
be
we're
able
hazing.
to.
Yeah.
That would take the rest of our time together. But it's incredible to have that many. We're really quite fortunate in Catawba County to have groups like that. Not all of them have art, science, and history as their main focus, but all have it as at least part of their mission. So, but many of them, that is what they do, and it sure makes this county a place that is set apart from others.
Yeah, we're real lucky in Catawba County to have just such a large swath of organizations such as yours that really just bring the community together and accentuate the arts. And it's just it's really awesome to see all the great things that you guys are doing. So speaking of, what are you guys up to over there these days? What's happening?
It was we're basically a fundraising and
Right.
subgranting organization. So we get to raise money from our very, very generous community and then subgrant it to organizations and then get out of their way and let them do great things. Just this last 2 weeks, I was just thinking on the way over here, in a little rainstorm, by the way.
Those are nice to have.
Breaking that heat.
Yes.
That I have seen The Drowsy Chaperone at the Green Room, directed by one of our Arts Council board members, Bill Morgan. It was phenomenal, hilarious, well done. Last night, my husband and I enjoyed Mamma Mia. Again,
I'm going this weekend.
Wonderful. You're going to love it.
Yes.
You can sing along. You can dance.
Can't wait.
So much fun.
We've talked about this before. Moose absolutely loves musicals.
I know. It's Moose's, do you know, it's like sort of his little secret.
Guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Oh, that should not be a guilty one.
It's not.
That is, I love musicals too, especially when the music
Depends on how much he gets into it.
Sing. I checked with the guy next to me last night to make sure if I started singing it would be okay. He said, "Oh yeah, I intend to sing too." So it was fun, and we have a new symphony conductor starting one
Yes.
next year. We had a fun year with the Maestro Challenge. That was fascinating. Our choral society just got back from Austria, where they performed in a couple of cathedrals. Our art museum is just going great guns with a fairly new executive director. Our science center has a new executive director. So there's a lot of dynamic things going on. Our history groups continue to sort of be the soul of our community and make sure that we value what we've had and value our old buildings so that we look good. And of course, it's not really an arts group, but we're so proud of what's happened in downtown Hickory, what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. We have public art commissions on several of our incorporated municipalities in the county. There's stuff going on.
That's right.
It's happening.
That's right. I saw pretty recently that there's going to be a big push for more murals downtown. We have the big one on the side of the former Orange store, and one that just went on the side of Hickory Downtown Development Association's office building. And there's another one.
Exodus.
The Exodus.
Right.
The Exodus one, right? As well.
Absolutely.
And there's another one that's trying to go on the side of the wine shop, correct?
The Miracle of Hickory.
It's in debate.
It's in debate.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
location.
On location.
It's hoped that it'll be in a prominent place
Yes.
downtown.
Okay.
And that is one of the kind of sites being looked at.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think there is a resurgence in the idea of public art all over the county, not just in Hickory. And in fact, the United Arts Council has applied for a grant from Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation for a public arts installation in Ridgeview, honoring the 1964 Ridgeview High School football team called the Untouchables.
Go Untouchables, yeah.
That's a great story.
This is the most amazing story. So if we get that grant, it'll be a $50,000 grant to do something pretty great at the Sam Davis Field, which is the field that they played on, named after their coach, Sam
Gotcha.
Davis Jr. So, yeah, I think public art in whatever form, sculpture, mural, installation of other kinds, is definitely a thing that's at the front of the community agenda right now. I love that.
As it should be.
As it should be. And, even just where we have city walks and greenways, to have art installations along the way is pretty great. It brings people to your community.
Well,
It sure does.
for a while there was the
benches.
art,
Absolutely.
which, it's been a while since those have been the hot topic, but those were kind of Hickory's claim there for a little while.
That's right.
And just like Caldwell County has all the sculpture artwork, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of their thing
That's
right
their
now.
thing. Right.
And so I love thinking that Hickory's can have a little bit more of this resurgence of their thing.
I know.
Right?
I love it, too.
I think it'd be
I love
cool.
it, too. I have this sort of fantasy that we'll have murals everywhere. All over
It would
the
be
county.
amazing.
And that we would have a map that would be a mural trail that people could come.
Fun.
Cultural tourism is a big part of what we think about, that kind of creative economy. So we've got things that draw people. We did an economic impact study that a group called the Jackson Group helped us
I've
decipher. You might have heard of them.
Heard of them.
And a guy named Alan Jackson is on our board. But we found out a lot of interesting things from our economic impact study. But we found out people come here for arts events.
Nice.
And they spend money
That's right.
That's important.
at
Yes.
restaurants, at hotels, at gas stations.
Yes.
That impact is large. I mean, you can definitely, you can't put a number to it, actually.
I can.
You can.
$49.7 million generated annually in economic activity in Catawba County annually.
Annually.
Wow.
I can do it because we did the economic impact study.
Right.
Okay. Well, so is there anything that you can tell us that you believe, from being pretty much an insider on the arts community, right? Is there anything that's up and coming that maybe we should be aware of some goals or things that are about to happen, or plans? Inside scoop.
Inside
I don't
scoop.
know.
Anything you can divulge.
Just wanna, yeah.
Well, our groups
Just
are
between the four of us.
Well, I mean, if Kathy thinks so,
Well,
then
now,
it's just
y'all
between
don't
the four.
tell anybody.
Right.
No, I think we're pretty transparent, and I think the big thing was one of the big things was the Maestro Challenge,
Yes.
that we had these 4 conductors coming in. The whole community got very, very engaged in that, and so that was a real boon to the music, that part of the music scene, the symphony.
Is that normal? I'm sorry to interrupt, but is that normal to hold a challenge like this, where in a community, or was this different?
I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
the answer to that. But I do know that because we have dynamic leadership at the symphony and Ingrid Keller, and that she, whether she conceived it or if she saw it somewhere else, it was the right thing for Catawba County. People just loved it. And that young leadership that she exemplifies, we're seeing it in some of our other organizations. And I'll tell you, that's the thing I'm seeing on the horizon, is young people really being at the table in our cultural organizations. Young people are being recruited to our boards. They're taking over at the helm of organizations. They're making decisions that are really good. They're showing us older people the new ways to do things, and we are eager to learn those. We're eager to hear. It's very stimulating, very exciting.
I think that's a two-way street, though. Bringing new blood in is pivotal to any organization and any community, but also having learned experience is also there too. So that basically, I hate to use the word synergy, but those two things coming together, that's good things to come for our
There's
for
a
our
lot of
community.
truth to that.
For
There's a lot
sure.
of truth to that. It's interesting to watch. People of a certain age have said for years the younger people need to take over. We need the younger people to take over. Well, when the younger people take over, things change.
They
It
need to
gets
know how to do it too.
Yeah, and they do things a little differently, and it's actually been great. We do not live in a community where people say it has to be done this way because it's always been done this way. We don't live in that kind of community. Thank goodness.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
We are a very creative community. I think we, in a way, haven't celebrated that side of ourselves.
I think there's a lot of talent here too.
So much.
in
It's
so many
incredible.
different ways.
I mean, it's incredible. I see it so much in the theater productions. But
Yes.
I definitely see them in the symphony and the choral society and our you should, when you see the seasons for next year for the theaters, it's going to be pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Hickory
It's
Community Theater's opening with Hair.
Yes, no, and I had heard of that, and how exciting! I remember several years ago when they did Rent,
Yes,
and it was fantastic. And that's not a play that you put on or a musical that you put on in a sleepy town.
No,
right?
You really don't.
You can't.
No,
you can't pull it off at that.
No, you don't. It's
And-
been wonderful. The Drowsy Chaperone at the Green Room was really quite unbelievable. It was, I thought, Broadway worthy. It was just so good.
That is cool.
We really are fortunate.
Very cool. Tell us a little bit about the Salt Block. So, for people maybe not as familiar, or maybe they know about, they just don't dive into it quite as much. And I know your offices are over there.
We are.
But what's it like to be a part of that environment?
It's amazing. It's amazing. The Salt Block opened as the Arts Center of Catawba Valley in April of 1986, and y'all weren't born yet, but
Yes, we were.
Thank you very much
Yes,
for that.
we were.
But I went to the opening and I walked in and I said, I'm going to work here someday. And it was 2 years later that I went to work there. It was an aging high school building, falling in. The roof was caving in. And Harley Shuford Sr. thought it could be a home for the Art Museum and the Science Center. And he paid out of his own pocket to have the roof repaired. And since then, we opened for just the Art Museum and Science Center in 86 with office and rehearsal space for the Symphony and Choral Society and offices for the Arts Council. But that's all. And I think even Mr. Shuford, visionary that he was, couldn't have seen what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Later, I think it was 99 that the Planetarium Aquarium, that the Patrick Beaver Memorial Library was built. Mm-hmm. And then in the mid 2005, around when the Planetarium Aquarium came along, and our offices moved to a building called the West Wing Building. We moved from the main building to the West Wing Building about 5 years ago. And suddenly this block is hopping with about 500,000 visitors a year, counting the library and the public places, the destination places, which are the Art Museum and the Science Center. And, every school child grows up. Every school child in the region, not just in Catawba County, grows up making at least annual visits there. People bring their children, their grandchildren. People who went to high school there feel such a connection. But it is, to me, kind of the cultural center of the county. Even though we have some other really incredible venues, that one just kind of sets apart as a real center for activity.
It's like a campus.
It really is.
You can go and spend the day out there doing stuff with your family.
You could.
Yeah.
There's places to bring a picnic, to
right.
enjoy. We have a food truck that comes on Wednesdays at lunch, which is really fun. Mm-hmm. There are other wonderful venues, but most of them are places that have programming at night or, the Salt Block is a place that's open Tuesday through Sunday. The only day we're closed to the public is Monday.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not anything like it anywhere close by. Lincoln Center in New York City is like that. But and I'm sure we're every bit as wonderful. So
absolutely,
but, we're just pretty spectacular.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
I know we've had a previous guest beforehand to come and talk about the arts and theater and whatnot and opportunities for children. And there's always been, evolving, whether it's finances or just change in perception in what is allowed and available for students, especially in public schools. Mm-hmm. How does your group and the organizations that you support work to help fill in those gaps and kind of coordinate efforts in not only, we talked a lot about the consumption of the arts, but what about the actual, not necessarily training, but training, involvement, participation in the arts?
Yeah, I think that's important. And you're right. It's, budgeting in the schools has gotten kind of tricky. It used to be you could count on the schools coming to the salt block, buses and buses and buses. And, certainly that's a little more difficult, though that still happens quite a bit. But I think what our groups have started thinking more and more about, and what we encourage with our funding, is outreach. They go to the school. The symphony goes to the schools. Or recently the symphony did a program called Link Up that we helped fund, where all the schools came one day to P.E. Mineral Auditorium at Lenore University for a concert. I would say we've had to find very creative ways. Now, there are summer camps at both Science Center, the Art Museum, and the Green Room. I know we all have summer camps for kids.
Shakespeare camp.
And the Shakespeare camp at Green Room, that is a big deal.
It's a legendary one, yep.
Yeah. And those are things that, are just critical. I think I think the arts should be kind of like McDonald's. You know how McDonald's exposes kids to Happy Meals, and then they have a customer for life? Well, we have to expose our kids to arts, theater, music at a young age, and then they'll be a consumer.
And it's
for
much
life.
Healthier, so that's
It's
even
way,
better.
way healthier. Nothing against McDonald's. I like their French fries a lot.
But it's that's a good thing. We actually, the guest Michael was talking about, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, is Molly Bass.
Oh gosh.
And she was on here talking about some of the efforts, that she'd like to see, or things that are happening.
Yes.
And we know it's a struggle, but luckily we have a lot of these organizations that are at least focused on anything arts in Catawba County, right?
Yes.
It could be such a wide range of things, but I know that the United Arts Council, just from being involved in the community, I've seen your name as a sponsor on a lot of things, events, activities, functions, whatnot. And not that I believe everybody has to donate money to be good people. It's not that. I still think it's important that you guys are putting a face out there to this. And so talk to me a little bit about really just your end game, not the end game, but you know what I mean? Like,
no,
where are you guys working with this? Where do you want to be with it? And what's the goal, the purpose and mission of that?
It's funny. And I want to say, because you mentioned Molly, who is one of my favorite people, that we depend a lot on volunteers. Molly is a volunteer.
Yes.
And we depend a lot on volunteers. Our organizations are run as lean and efficiently as possible. And one of the things our economic impact study showed, in fact, to my mind, it showed that we spend less than organizations in other communities our size, but we generate more economic activity. That tells me that some of our younger leaders are going to need to be paid a little better in order to stay, and we want to keep them.
Right.
But we do depend on volunteers too, and we have a wonderful volunteer force in Catawba County. I used to say, and I think I still think beneath it all, that my bottom line goal is to have artists living and working in this community. And I think strong cultural organizations are part of that happening, but I think about the energy and the excitement that artists living and working. I would love to see street musicians. I love street musicians. I would like to see art galleries all over town. I would love to see murals. I would like to be able to say to an artist, here's X dollars and a wall, paint something. And just there's a vibrancy about that you can feel it when the Friday night live music downtown that Bob Sinclair organizes. it's that feeling. It's hard to put into words, but our end game is for our organizations to be strong and for artists to want to live and work here. A while back, many years ago, the chamber at some brainstorming session somebody came and said, well, our slogan is, we make things. And I thought, that's it. We do make things here. We make furniture. We make art. We make fiber optics. We make music. We make textiles. We make pottery. We make things here, and we're that kind of community. We celebrate that. We celebrate all that.
As we've seen, the Hickory and Catawba County government all say makers and doers, right?
And they own it. Yes, and I think have very progressive local government in all our municipalities and in our county. Another way we're fortunate.
Yeah.
We're ninth in the state in per capita local government funding for Catawba County.
Really?
Yeah. That's pretty, we rank right behind people who get hotel motel tax dollars. So we have we have a local government that I would say gets it.
Supportive.
Yeah.
Well, how do you, in your mind, you talk about having artists live here, and in various roles I've had, that's always been a discussion, especially in a downtown area that typically, where we are in that, we're Hickory being urban, but we're surrounded in that semi-urban, semi-rural.
Yes.
So, and not to point fingers at landlords, but how does that work? Does that look like a landlord that has a space that downstairs could be a gallery, upstairs is relatively rough finished housing? How is that? What's the tipping point to get that started?
I think it could look like that. I think it could also look like a totally different neighborhood that's not downtown that becomes kind of an arts district. There was a group that was real interested in the Olenor Road corridor, and there's affordable housing there, and there's empty warehouse space. So there's opportunity there. It could look like downtown Newton. It could look like downtown Catawba. It could look a lot of different ways. We were in Sarasota, Florida recently, and there was a whole several block neighborhood that I think must have been owned by a nonprofit that then sold all the houses in this neighborhood. And they sold the houses back, or possibly leased them back, I'm not really sure, to artists. And artists were encouraged to paint their houses, bungalows. Artists were encouraged to paint them any color they wanted to. So, of course, there's lime green and fuchsia and cobalt blue and yellow and wonderful colors. And they had to live and work there. So they had to have their workspace, their cell space. And then one night a month they have an art crawl in that community. And it's killer cool.
That's
Plus,
awesome.
Apparently, Halloween night there is the place to go to trick or treat.
I bet. Well, and you know what? I think Hickory actually has some areas that could very easily morph into something like that, right?
Absolutely.
If there were some discussions about it. But just thinking of the landscape of the area, there's definite possibilities there.
Well, yeah. I think maybe somebody could set up a nonprofit and do it in an area, and kind of, it would be nice to have a space for artists to work that's a big warehouse where, because sometimes welding or pottery involves things that you don't want to do maybe inside your house, but just, I don't know, there's all kinds of possibilities, and I frankly see Catawba County as open to that. I don't know where it could be or who could do it, but I see us as open to that. Certainly downtown Hickory is an awesome place, and there are all the upstairs. I suspect that for any neighborhood to really take off, you've got to have a grocery store.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I would like to see us get a hotel in downtown Hickory.
Same.
So, I keep hearing that,
we've heard the rumblings
Boutique
too.
hotel would be kind of killer.
We've heard the rumors.
My friend who lives in Greenville, South Carolina, that's all of our muse, how we all want to be, says that Hickory will really grow when there's a hotel.
I agree. Now, this might be difficult because I don't want you to pick your favorite child.
Oh.
But What are some of your favorite art-based events that Hickory does? Not Hickory putting on,
Right.
but that happen in Hickory.
That happen around.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would recommend or share to anyone listening?
Well, I really like folk art. So the Folk Art Festival in Newton, this the first weekend in October, I really like. I always enjoy the Choral Society Christmas concert. That's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
Love that. My husband, I love theater and choral music, so we probably tend to that. I like any outdoor concert, and I think it's especially kind of wonderful when the symphony and the choral society do something outside, and they get 2,000 or 3,000 people who come, and it's people who are, maybe it's their first exposure to the symphony or the choral society, and I think that builds. And I love it when there are young people there. I love to just walk around the art museum when there's an exhibit, a new exhibit. There's always an opening, and they're fun to go to, but it's also fun to walk around just on your own and really look and take it in. I always enjoy that.
How about that blow-up exhibit they had recently?
So fun.
How
so
amazing
cool.
was that?
John Carfagno, who's executive director, actually gave the Arts Council staff a private tour of that, and we felt like we were in heaven.
It was awesome.
When my 14-year-old grandson comes, we always make the Science Center a stop. And, there are so many things to choose from. There's, the sites around, the historic sites like the Bunker Hill Covered Bridge and Murray's Mill that are pretty unique to our community. I think there's only one other covered bridge in North Carolina. It's in my home county, Randolph County.
Oh.
But I don't think it's the original like ours is.
Oh, wow.
So.
Yeah, and even those places, the historical places have, at least every time I go there, I feel like, and I'd like to think of myself as a more art-minded person, but every time I go there, I feel like I'm, the organization that's running it has done such a good job of preservation, education, and then, the uniqueness of something. The quilts I've seen made on site, the digs that they've done where they've pulled up stuff from around the area, so you're getting to see the historical items, they found in the ground, which I just think is so cool.
It is, and that's a nice thing, is to enjoy those historic sites and then to go to something kind of contemporary like the Footcandle Film Festival, which is amazing, and the Arts Council was part of that funding from the start. The Visiting Writer Series that brings in incredible authors. And a group of young men founded something called the Hickory Playground. And that'll happen the last weekend in July, where I think 10 maybe writers come together and maybe 30 actors, and they write a play within 24 hours or 48 hours. They write a play, rehearse it, and perform it. They're 10-minute plays. That's one of the most interesting, challenging, stimulating, enlightening things I've seen.
Absolutely.
So one of the questions that I personally ask a lot of our podcast guests is, if you had a magic wand and you could just wave that thing and make our community to your liking, if you will, what do you think would that be for you?
There are so many things, but one of the things that I hear talked about a lot, and I don't know that there's any plan for it, but is for a larger performing arts center that would just be a performing arts center. P. Monroe Auditorium is fantastic, but it is Lenore Ryan's venue, and Lenore Ryan does and should get first dibs on it, though they really accommodate a lot of things in the community that are great, and kudos to Lenore Ryan, my alma mater, for that.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Yeah, go
Same.
Right. But a performing arts center of, I don't know how many seats it would have. P. Monroe has 1,400, so I think it might have more than that. I'm not sure, but I'm just envisioning with my magic wand.
Absolutely.
Which comes with unlimited money.
It does. Absolutely.
And I think it would be in the center of the county, not, it would be very accessible from Interstate 40, I would think. And it would be beautiful. It would be a beautiful space. And maybe we'd get Broadway touring shows, and we'd certainly get, perform musical acts, and I don't know. I think it would probably end up being the home for some of our musical groups, like the symphony and the Choral Society. I think it would be spectacular.
We do too. Make it happen.
Yeah, with your wand, magic wand.
We're behind you.
Do you have that magic wand?
Yeah, it's on back order through Amazon. We're working on it.
Yeah.
So you can find out all kinds of information at artscatawba.org. You can also donate from that website as well. How can people get involved? Is donating the best way? Is volunteering the best way?
I'd say
yes.
Both.
Yes, and yes. Our United Arts Fund that we conduct annually supports 8 of the larger art, science, and history organizations, all of whom need volunteers. And volunteers are just the backbone of our groups. It's one of the reasons they are all, including the Arts Council, are so lean and efficient, is because we depend on volunteers, and volunteers bring a breadth of knowledge too, and experience that we draw upon. So I encourage you to volunteer. If you would like to know about some volunteer opportunities, go to artscatawba.org and email us, and we'll hook you up with whoever you're interested in.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us.
Absolutely.
What fun.
Well, good. I'm glad. I hope you'll stick around for the next couple minutes. We will be reviewing a local restaurant.
Was it the one you said you went to when you got cut that you said you'd never been to before?
This is a different one.
That was last week. We went to our last episode. That was John Boy's in Ridgeview.
Have
you been there?
No, but I want to go.
Well, you should.
It's great. It's real good.
We go back.
We'll let you know.
Oh, good. Let me know, because I want to go.
Wings, hot dogs, sandwiches.
Love me a good hot dog.
Check. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check out John Boy's next time you're out that way.
Hello, this is Chris from the Foot Candle Film Podcast. Are you interested in promoting your business to an online audience? Your ad could be right here. Consider advertising on the Mesh Podcast Network. Head over to themesh.tv for details.
Before we talk about the restaurants, let's real quick get a rundown from Moose on the Mic about some events happening.
Yeah, we always like to keep our listeners abreast of all the happenings that are going on in our area. First, we'll start with the music that's going on right now. The Hard Hat series is ongoing currently. June 7th, Bob Sinclair and the Big Deals, who was mentioned earlier in the podcast, is going to be gracing their presence at the Hard Hat series. June 14th, Moon Pie. June 21st, the Jacktown Ramblers, and June 28th is Alexa Rose. And this is a new event that is basically in lieu of the sales series, and the stage is going to be located at the Hickory Station parking lot across the street from the post office. So y'all check that out. Saturday, June 15th, Tunes and Trade Alley. The music's going to be all afternoon in Trade Alley parking deck. Music from 2:30 to 9. So y'all go check that out as well. Retroactively, we hope you guys came to the June 1st event, this downtown, which is tomorrow.
Hope it was a good day.
Yeah, hope you guys had a great time, because we sure did. So, just
that's the
keep
City
on.
Walk Summer Celebration.
That's right. The sales series comes back in September. September 6th is the first event, and it's going to run every Friday in that month. So y'all go check that out. And also, since our friend Kathy is here, you can also head over to artscatawba.org, and in the I believe it's and just about on every page, there's a calendar that says Today in Catawba County. And you can look at all the different things that are happening in our area that you can click on, and it'll give you directions and all that good stuff. For instance, you click on the Mamma Mia app or Mamma Mia section there. It'll click to the place where you need to go see it at the Hickory Community Theater. Can't talk today for some reason. And
Get excited.
I know, I'm really excited. There's all kinds of stuff going on. The butterfly exhibit's going on right now at the Science Center. So there's a whole bunch to do in Catawba County, Hickory in particular. So y'all check it out. Get out of your house.
Get out your house.
That's
like
right.
it. All right. On we go now.
On we go.
This, to everyone's favorite portion of Street Circle Drive, is the restaurant review section. So,
Is that official? It's everyone's favorite part?
It is.
Awesome.
All of us.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, because we get to
All
enjoy
of
the
us,
food.
right. But for those of you listening at home that are not familiar, we like to eat. First of all, we consider ourselves foodies, right? I mean,
Connoisseur of all varieties.
Of all food. But we do like to hit up some of the maybe lesser known spots in town. Some are more, I mean, it depends. But we do love a dive. We do love a dive or a diner or something like that. And
ones that you drive by, don't even think about.
Absolutely.
Ones off the beaten path.
Absolutely. So we are today, Michael, I'm going to let you lead us into this.
All right. So today's excursion of the culinary world took us to Rico.
Rico.
Exclamation point.
So for those not familiar with the translation, it's not why Rico, it's how rich.
Right. We kind of thought it was why.
Why?
Rico.
Obviously,
why?
Senorita Eng would not be pleased
right.
with some loose interpretations of
Shout
Que
out.
Rico. So that's all right. She gave me an F anyway. So
F.A.
I earned it. Yeah. Thank you. So Que Rico, located in Viewmont,
Yep.
at the site of Crazy Grill. Thank you. I was sitting there trying to, rest in peace, Crazy Grill.
You blocked
We
that out
put
of your
them
memory.
under last time.
So right next to Dante's, Center Street Eats, all those wonderful Hickory establishments that we've also
Given high ratings
given
to.
high ratings to. Crazy Grill.
For
So-
you locals, this is the old Max's.
Yes, and sweet potatoes. It's just it's
Max's.
been all sorts of things, like
It
most
has.
Hickory places. So
Roasted tater, yeah.
Fun fact:
Thank you.
Moose's father-in-law used to run sweet potatoes back in the day.
really,
Roasted tater.
No, sweet potatoes.
But roasted tater was what was
That was the one that was
this
there?
position, this spot.
Roasted tater. That's right.
Roasted
That's
tater.
right. It was roasted tater. You said sweet potatoes. Though.
no,
Yeah,
I did.
He said sweet potatoes.
God,
we said roasted
I forgot
tater.
it.
Why,
Roasted tater
Rico?
was there. Roasted tater is now.
Hey.
Why, Rico?
Hey, Moose.
Okay, Moose. Why you interrupted my segment, Moose?
Wow. Okay.
Yes, that makes sense.
K.
Okay, what? But anyway,
So we did go to
digress.
Crazy
Slippery
Grill.
slope.
We went to Crazy Grill in a previous episode.
Yes, they
And-
didn't
and
get
let
our
the
highest
record
rating.
show this was the lowest rating we have given someone.
Yep.
And we may have reason to believe that they closed right after we gave them this rating.
I think we're giving
Just
ourselves
saying.
a little too much power,
Just
but
saying.
yes.
Our hundreds
Just
of
let people
listeners
know.
rioted in the streets.
Yep.
Just letting people know
Moose
what,
put that on his resume. Let's
what
just put
type
it
of
that way.
force we have. So maybe
So.
you think when we walk through the door.
Que Rico.
Okay.
We went today to visit, and one of our biggest deterrents of Crazy Grill was the hodgepodge of menu, where it was hot dog, some Mexican dishes, and I think actually it said
Pasta.
international.
They had
or something.
Italian food too, didn't they?
Pasta,
They had pasta,
soups,
soup, salads.
Crazy.
and I'm just one of those. If you try to be everything to everybody, you probably won't be much to anyone. So we went today, and I will say it. It has the same inside look and feel. The menu was, it was just better presentation of the menu and what
Yes,
they offered.
yes.
Still pretty good, wide selection, but very more focused
Yes.
on Mexican and Latin. But I mean, it's all listed under like in a Mexican restaurant style, but they would specifically say, you saw Venezuelan and a couple of other, Latin inspired dishes,
Well, they do call themselves a Latin fusion restaurant.
which can be very confusing
Very
to most,
confusing.
even
we
us.
Can we can get into that in a minute.
Right.
Okay.
So we went and I guess we ordered a little bit of a selection. Of course, I ordered enough for a few people, but somebody's got to speak for the
Somebody's got
people.
to do it. Yes.
Doing it for the people.
You gotta
So
gotta
that's
give them a fair
between
shot.
me and my cardiologist, and I do this for you, Hickory. You're welcome.
Yes.
So
Definitely don't do it for your wallet.
exactly. So I ordered, because I like to think of myself as an expert
Yes. Absolutely.
in the Cuban sandwich. I ordered a Cuban sandwich, and I ordered a burrito. Because
Clearly.
why not?
Because clearly that goes together.
But I had a side of chips.
It is
and
a
salsa,
fusion.
Kathy.
It is fusion.
I see
It is
Kathy over
fusion.
here giving herself, CPR because she's worried about what's going to happen to me in the coming months.
This podcast is sponsored by Hickory Cardiology. Yet.
But it came with a side of chips and salsa that I shared with my friends.
Yes.
So, I didn't double side. And I had water. It's like the people that go to McDonald's, like we talked about earlier, and they get everything, but they get a Diet Coke. Hey, I'm in that ballpark. Yeah, most people have. That's why we all laugh at ourselves. So, got the burrito, and it's got chicken. It really was pick your meat, pick a bean, and then rice, cheese, cilantro, sour cream, whatnot. It's very basic. Good. It was light. It wasn't overly, sometimes you could walk out of those and just be weighed down, very heavy. This was good. Cuban sandwich is not going to make my top 10.
Ooh, top 10. Not even top 10.
Not top 10.
Okay.
And I've never been to Cuba, and I'm sure there's a lot of really good Cuban sandwiches down there.
But you do love your Cuban sandwiches, and usually if we're at a place that has it, you will get
I have a hard time passing.
So I think you are given a fair...
Yes. This one was, the bite, it was a sweeter bread, which, it had sweet pickles. The mustard either wasn't on the sandwich or had just not strong enough. The barbecue on it with the pork is good and the ham was fine and the Swiss. I mean, it's pretty basic standard, but you've got to really set the sandwich apart by the pickle and the mustard, in my opinion. And it just didn't. But at the same time, it's not
Is sweet pickle normal on a Cuban?
That's a good question. I always like a little bit more of the dill. And just keep
I thought
that.
it was like a yellow pepper, almost like a
Banana pepper?
like a peppercini type thing.
No,
Cubans.
it's
pickle.
It's pickle.
Okay.
Yep. Trust me.
You're the expert.
I don't know
I'm the
that
expert.
I've ever had a Cuban sandwich.
It's all right. I've had them for you.
Yeah, clearly today.
You're safe.
I am covered. I've sniffed a lot.
It was very greasy.
Your,
I mean, I know y'all saw me. I was sitting there. I was having a hard time with that as well.
I believe the term you used was sweet and greasy.
It was sweet and greasy. Yeah, that's what I said.
God,
I said it was like
anything good, it's
Moose's
sweet
first
greasy.
girlfriend.
Oh, God. She was sweet and a little greasy.
Oh, gosh. Just took it to another level.
I digress. Mary Margaret, what did you have at this wonderful adventure?
So I thought that since their menu now appeared to be way more Mexican focused, which is great. I love Mexican food and really have a hard time finding something I don't like. But I went with a kind of a standard. Yeah, just because what else can we measure against then, right? So I ordered the ACP, arroz con pollo, right?
Arroz con pollo.
Okay. And so I ordered that. I was ordering the lunch portion because it's lunchtime. So I thought...
McNally I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, but...
On the different portion sizes. Correct.
Portions? What are portions?
So I ordered because they do have a special lunch menu.
There were 3 versions of the arroz con pollo for you today. You could have had the main entree.
Yes.
The Friday special, which is $7, main
Yes.
being $8, and the lunch was $6. So
I know. And, so here's my thinking was that the regular entree was like dinner size, right? That's what you would think. And then the special on Friday, I thought, surely that's just a discounted cost. It was only $1 off, which I'll take it. And then there was the lunch portion, which was $2 less than the entree. So I just thought that was the smaller portion. And so that's what I ordered was the smaller portion. It turns out, Rico says, lunch portion means you don't get everything on the dish. You get rice and chicken.
it was straight up arroz con pollo.
Oh, yeah. That's it. There was
No E at the end of that? No E.
There were no peppers or onions, which, usually you get ACP somewhere and you have to say like no onions or light onions or whatever, or they're asking you that, right? And so there were no vegetables on there whatsoever. Now, here's what fooled me.
And it said pineapple on the entree one too.
And pineapple. Okay. So here's what got me was that they had a picture of ACP like on the menu. On the lunch side, there's a picture of ACP and it has peppers and onions in it. So that's why I ordered it. But nowhere did it say lunch portion means you just don't get any vegetables. So I that was a little frustrating. So I actually asked her about it, and she said, "Would you like the vegetables?" I said, "Yes, please." She took it back, and she brought it back with peppers on it. So no onion, no pineapple, a little bit of cheese. They tossed it again, I think, and that was about it. It was on a bed of that orangish rice. I don't know what it's called.
Mexican fried rice.
Is it? But it didn't have any veggies in it.
That's the common theme.
I know, right? I got a no veggie dish, clearly. But it was, a lot of places have, it's got, little corn and peas and stuff, right? Yeah. And this had nothing. So it was just that rice. And I will admit, if we're being completely honest, and Michael witnessed it, I had to pull a piece out of my mouth as I was eating because the edges were all hard around the entire rice dish.
Right.
That's very disheartening to me because...
It's not paella. Paella, if they're going to tell you it's paella, you're going to get the little crunch.
I can get a little crunch, but this is rice.
Right.
And so the chicken was fine. The sauce was fine. That was pretty normal. They did good. When they did put peppers on it, the peppers were grilled just fine. And so that was fine. But the rice...
It's fine?
It was yeah. So crunchy rice and lack of veggies, kind of disappointing. I did eat a couple of your chips and salsa, even though...
You're welcome.
Let's all remember, I did order them as a side on mine.
And we only got one.
And I ordered a side of black beans because I do enjoy black beans, but I am hundo P convinced that this is out of a can. Moving on. Moose, what'd you have?
I'll put a little ray of sunshine on this. I had 2 chicken tacos. They were corn tortillas, shredded chicken taco, cilantro and onion. Just, the standard, authentic style Mexican tacos. They come with double corn tortillas, so you can, make a little mess and then put the rest of it back on the second one.
In there.
I got to figure it out. Rice, white rice, and black beans out of can. It was good. I mean, it was okay.
It was good. Okay.
It was just okay. The chicken tacos were real good.
Yeah.
Rice and beans were garbage.
Agreed.
Wow. Okay. Another level.
I had to douse them with that salsa.
That green salsa.
Which was good, though. I'll have to admit that salsa is good. Now, I'm going to not preface, but I'll say this. If you're going to put a Mexican restaurant on the same street as El Paso, you best come correct because El Paso is the best. Let's put it out. Let's put out there on 127.
On 127, yes. Because we've been to Isabella's.
Isabella's knocks it out of the park. That's my downtown Mexican spot. The 127.
If you're gonna be right beside.
Yeah, you got to come with it. Yeah. So anyway, it was good. I would eat there again just because it's so close to my house. But I don't know, McNally, what would you give it on score?
I'm gonna go with a 6.5 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
There's not much in the ambiance.
Yeah.
They don't serve beers either. I saw that.
But they have a sign that says they do, but then in the back it said they didn't. So.
Yeah, there's a back side of the menu.
I mean, you were trying to drink at lunch, not me.
I mean, last time I drank at lunch, I got an axe to the face. Okay,
that's true.
There was a menu on the back. There was a section on the back of the menu that had some pretty fantastic looking margaritas,
mixed drinks, yeah,
and mixed drinks on there.
But they don't have a license yet.
But they don't have an ABC license yet, which I get it.
I get it, but they've been open for a while.
Okay, that's the thing. We did not. We purposely have not gone there in a while because of our past experiences. So I mean, they've been open for a while. So I was a little curious about that because some of those drinks did look good.
Sure.
I totally would have had one, but couldn't do it. I give Rico a 5 out of 10.
Okay. So I guess it's my turn.
Okay.
Is it? On the Moose scale 7, I give it a solid 4.5 out of 7.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're basically all right there. Here's the question of the day: is it just the same restaurant as Crazy Grill with a different name and a new menu? Is it the same people? You think?
I don't know.
I'd put my money on yes, but at the same time, I'll give them credit for whether they were told this or not for honing in on the menu,
streamlining the menu.
Well, they listen to the
different
podcast,
puffs.
obviously.
That was a definite must, was for them to clean up that menu, which they did. That was our biggest complaint.
That was my
in the
biggest
last episode.
It just sets them up for failure regardless of how good one meal is, because they can be different every time.
The service was fine today, except for the lack of confidence we felt like this person had. Everything was sort of a question when it came out of their mouth. K?
It was like my 9-year-old if she was serving us. Yeah,
I think so. We kind of asked a question and she'd be like,
do you want some water?
Yeah. You know, it was like we had our empty water glasses on the edge of the table waiting for them to be refilled. And
water.
She was like,
water?
Yeah, she's like, you guys need anything? And we kind of all look at our water glasses and she's like, would you like some water? Well, yes, we would. Thank you very much. But that's the past server and me coming out, you know, so fair enough. I think there's potential there. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they get to it.
I think it's a tough spot. And I think Moose hit the nail on the head.
I think, you know, it's not like that restaurant's not accessible, because some of the other restaurants that have been there have been fantastic. But Crazy Girl and K Rico have not been one of them.
Yeah, they're not. You know, and that's the reason we went back there. I've been pushing to go back to this place ever since they changed names. We're like, you know, we gave this place a doo-doo review the first time. We're going to check it out to make sure that, you know, that we want to give them a second chance. Let us down, K Rico.
I'd like to think that if they change some of their outward-facing marketing, that could change some things too. One, let's not call it Latin fusion. Okay, just call it a Mexican restaurant.
And own it, though. Get rid of the Cuban.
Get ready. Yeah, if you really want to have the Cuban on there, put it in like a...
Have a special with it.
Special, exactly. That's all there is to it, just because maybe you love it. But otherwise, just stick with Mexican food. It's what your majority, 99% of your menu was. Own it. And then let's maybe change up the neon signs on the outside so it doesn't quite look like a gentleman's club as you drive by at night. That's just my opinion. And that's because I'm, you know, as a mom driving by there, I can't tell what it is, if it's a restaurant or anything else. But that's just, you know, they had a dinosaur out there one day flipping signs, having it point to say come in to eat.
Well, they're trying. They're trying. They're putting it out there. They're trying. I don't know. Best of luck to K Rico.
They got Taco Tuesdays, right?
It's $1
on Tuesdays.
Yeah, get chicken on Tuesdays. Those tacos were good.
Moose liked the tacos. Well, that's great. Fantastic.
Good for Moose.
Good for K Rico.
Yeah, for sure.
So
this podcast not sponsored by K Rico
or Crazy Grill. Holy cow!
Yes.
Where can you find it, Moose?
Well, if you want to go to K Rico, it is located on where is it? On 2220 North Center Street, Hickory, North Carolina. It is in the Viewmont area, right across the street from Shooters of Viewmont, adjacent to
ABC store,
adjacent to Active Ed
next
Nutrition,
to Dante's.
And next door to Dante's. That is the most Hickory direction you'll ever get.
So yeah, that's that. I mean, I feel horrible, but you know, I'm past the point of like, that's it, Moose. Next time you bring up anything that goes in that spot, we're just not going.
Yep.
We tried.
And for the family and friends of the folks at K Rico, Moose and Friends will be playing their next show. Moose, do you want to tell the audience?
Moose and Friends will be at the Old Hickory Tavern after the City Walk Summer Celebration tomorrow night, June 1st.
Well,
check them out.
Speaking of, K Rico I've seen posted like Latin music night or something they've had on their Facebook page.
Okay.
So there's been that. I think they have these things try to come in. I just really wish that they would maybe get that drink menu up and going, because that would.
Well, if you're going to have music and stuff
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. So, all right. Well, we tried our best, and if you go get the tacos at K Rico, maybe hit them up on a Tuesday. And otherwise, you guys got anything to share? Everybody good? All good?
All good.
We're good.
All right. So we have some more shows scheduled and coming along, so everybody should stay tuned. Be sure to check out all the other shows over on themesh.tv. We've got a little something for everybody. If you want us to come to your restaurant
and dog you on the internet.
I mean, that's,
You can get at us at
You
info
better
at
wake up early that morning and be right on point.
if you want us to come to your restaurant, then I suggest you listen to other episodes we've done because they've been really good.
Yeah, hey.
Y'all, we've given everybody.
You don't get to looking like me without knowing good food. So I just say it like that.
So we're down to come to your restaurant, and we will do our best.
But like any good artist, we are only as good as the canvas and the paint that we are given.
As a shout out to Kathy Greathouse. But if you have this recommendation, you want to let us know of a place to come, grab us all on the sidewalk. You usually see us all around town, or you can email us at info@themesh.tv and give us a heads up on some things we should do, try out, or guests we should have on the show. Mm-hmm. All right, so a big shout out and thank you to the United Arts Council and Kathy Greathouse for being our special guest today. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Really appreciated you being
It
here.
was fun. Y'all are fun.
Well, glad to have you around.
Thank you for all you do. You're a fabulous ambassador for this area.
We are all Hickory is very and Catawba County obviously is very lucky to have you. Thank you.
Nice of you to say.
All right, so until next time, say goodbye, boys.
Goodbye, boys.
Love where you live.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.